what's up, you guys? My name is Grace Lauren Taylor, and you are listening to episode 64 of the Trauma Dump Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Here at the Trauma Dump Podcast, we seek to answer the question, what is mental health? How do I take care of my own, and how do I support others? This week, we will be doing our Anonymous Confessions episode, strongly recommended by all of the people on the Discord. Thank you for submitting your anonymous confessions. I'm really excited for this episode. This is our third time doing this, so let's keep it up. Let's do this every couple months. If you're new and you don't know what anonymous confessions are, me and a guest read off anonymous confessions from our Discord server from you viewers, telling us what you're going through and maybe asking for advice, support, whatever you're going through. We need to talk about it, right? That's the whole point of the Trauma Dump Podcast, is to unpack our trauma and move forward from it. So today, with our special guest, Johnny Cole, we will be reading the anonymous confessions that you guys submitted in our Discord server. Johnny Cole is one of my best friends, and I'm very excited to do this episode with him and keep on that trend of having my best friends do these anonymous confessions episode. Our last anonymous confession episode was with Kat Lynn, Claude Beauty 101. I'm sure you know who she is. She's amazing. So now we're going to be reading it with Johnny. You can go follow Johnny over on Instagram. His Instagram is at HeyBrotherCo or at HeyBrotherJohnny. Please go follow him to support him for being on the podcast. It is at HeyBrotherJohnny or at HeyBrotherCo, HeyBrotherCo. Remember, if you'd like to share on the show, please message us in our Discord and the podcast participants channel along with your unique experiences, and we will match you to the right episode. And just a quick disclaimer before we start, Johnny and I are not licensed health professionals. This podcast only seeks to create community and further understanding of these topics that are so often overlooked and extremely misunderstood. If you or a loved one are in need of medical professional help, we have so many resources in our description and on our Discord server. The podcast is here to build community and understanding, okay? So the topics discussed here are for a mature audience, so viewer discretion is always advised. And hey, if you're liking what we're doing here on the Trauma Dump Podcast, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to us over on YouTube, and comment down below any episodes that you want us to do. Or if you were one of the anonymous confessions, maybe you want to call yourself out, say, oh my God, you read mine. That would be really exciting. We post all of these new episodes every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I will be in the live chat with you guys. And if you ever want to talk to me, I'm here. Hi. So please don't forget to like, comment, share the show, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rate the show. That really helps us out a lot, helping the show reach other people who may need it. All right, let's get into this episode. Hello, Johnny.
Hello, Grace Taylor of the Trauma Dump Podcast. How we doing?
I'm alive. How are you doing?
I am feeling tiredness in my eyes, behind my eyelids, and I'm feeling some pain and tightness in my lower back. Those are physical sensations, and emotionally, I'm feeling a little anxious and anticipatory, but also excited. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's good. I'm glad that we had that check-in. Introduce yourself to our guests. If they don't know who you are, where can they find you? Who are you? Why are you qualified? What are you doing here?
What am I doing here? Who are you? And
Who
what gives you the
are
right?
you?
Question 1, who do you think you are? Question 2, what gives you the right? Excellent question. So my name is Johnny Cole. You can find me on all social media platforms at HeyBrotherJohnny. That's JOHNNY. And my men's work organization is Hey Brother Co., like Hey Brother CO, Hey Brother Company. I am a men's coach and men's work facilitator who leads healthy masculinity men's retreats and virtual groups, workshops, and a boyhood mentorship program. I'm very passionate about all things men's mental health and healing, and ushering in a new culture globally around masculinity, because I think men and boys need lots of help and support right now, and we're not getting it. I also am someone who has survived domestic violence, grew up in a household that had DV, and have been diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of that. So I am on my own healing journey as well. And I think that makes me a pretty great firsthand experience authority on how I've found meaning, healing, and modes of getting through this crazy thing called life, given what I've been through. So yeah, that's me.
Vibes. I'm so proud of you. And how do you know
Likewise.
me?
I know you because I have actually been a guest on the Trauma Dump podcast before, an esteemed guest of this wonderful show, and talked a lot about my journey with men's work and how I founded Hey Brother Co. And I shared about myself, but that was really just focused on the men's work portion. And I'm excited to do this episode and support your community that you've built. And also later this month, I'm going to be on another episode with my sister, a sibling episode, to talk more about narcissistic abuse and whatnot.
Yeah. And by the time that this comes out, that episode will actually be before this episode because
Truly.
vibes. It's very exciting. And we're also friends.
We are also friends. Yes, that is you're like, how do you know me? And I was like, oh, well, this is how I know you. We first connected there, but yeah, no, we're freaking homies, dude. And I as I am homies with your fiance as well. Joey's a wonderful man, and yeah, so
Yeah.
we're acquainted.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I'm excited. We're going to be reading anonymous confessions from the Discord. I believe the last confession that we stopped with, because this is now a series on the podcast. We last read confessions episodes with Catlin, one of my best friends. You can go
Yeah.
follow her. That's Claude Beauty 101 on all forms of social media. If you don't know who she is, she's actually quite famous. She's very informed on all things trauma and recovery. So if you ever need like a supportive big sister online, you can go check her out. But the previous episode, we stopped, I believe, with 45 of the confessions. We have a lot to go through because a lot of you have really resonated with the Catlin episode and previous episodes. So I'm very excited about this journey, and who better to do it with my friend Johnny, who actually is a very trauma-informed person and works with men. So I want to keep up this momentum, and I'm going to share my screen. So, we did 45, I believe. That was the last one that we did. So now we're going to be starting with 30. Also, trigger warning for those watching. Serious topics will be discussed in this episode. So if you ever feel yourself getting upset or feeling anxiety, I want you to take a break, drink some water, and maybe return to the episode or watch a different episode if you don't feel compelled to watch this episode. I will try to timestamp each and every individual confession. So if you are a Discord, member and you've made a confession and you don't want to out yourself and you know which number you are, I will try to timestamp it so that you can watch your confession. So we're going to start off with 46 and we're going to do like an exchange. So say I'll read 46, you read 47. I read 48, you read 49. Okay.
Sweet.
So anonymous confession 46. I was trying to commit sewer slide. Then I randomly got hot and bothered. So then I touched myself. I've been struggling with hypersexuality since that day. I feel like I can't tell anyone. First and foremost, sewer slide is a very humorous way to say suicide. Thank you for that. Secondly, I think it is really important to talk about hypersexuality and those confusing feelings. Suicide is, this is Suicide Awareness Month, Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, September. It's very important to talk about how suicide ideation affects us as individuals and also affects, our extended community and the world at large. I think it's really brave of you to share this really deep confession. And right off the back, we're coming in strong. I've struggled with hypersexuality since I was about 8 years old, which grew up in a Christian church. So I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know what sex was officially till I was 15. So I didn't know what it was. And I know that in the BDSM community, there are a lot of kinks around harm and suicide. And so it's a very, difficult subject to talk about, but I think it's very valid what you're experiencing. Um, and I think the best thing you should do is get in touch with maybe some members of the BDSM community that might be fulfilling for you, but also get a therapist who works with, sexual issues. A sex therapist can be really beneficial.
Yeah.
And also a psychologist could also be really beneficial, because hurting yourself is not something that we want to be doing. And also, self-harm is really that alarm system that something is really wrong with either your environment or with your internal environment. And I really think you should look for professional help on this subject and not be afraid to, because it's not something you should be ashamed of. I know that you can feel embarrassed by it, but I would caution you to approach anything around suicide with compassion towards yourself and towards others, and try to understand it, which I think is what you're trying to get at right here. Do you have any comments, Johnny?
Same entry comment was just thank you so much for sharing this, because feeling like you can't tell anyone something this heavy is a very difficult thing to stand with by yourself. And so by airing this out in the Anonymous Confessions of TDP, you are being self-compassionate by at least getting it in front of someone, right? And so thank you so much for sharing that with us. I also agree that a sex therapist and someone who can speak to you about also your nervous system, like what's happening to your nervous system and to your body while you are in that activated state, both from the self-harm and then also your response to that nervous system activation being desire for self-pleasure. There's a lot going on there with your nervous system. So I can recommend at the Sex Ed Files is a sex educator on social media, and also Cam Fraser, Cam Fraser is an Australian sex educator for mostly men, and then Sex Ed Files, she identifies as a woman, but does sex ed for everyone. I think those are some really great places for resources if you're not sure where to start, and they might have some stuff that doesn't directly pertain to this self-harm element of your confession, but to just get more attuned to why our bodies and our arousal states, and we seek pleasure when in quote unquote weird circumstances. They might be folks who can provide some insight there. But I hope that you're feeling better since this confession. I hope that you're taking care of yourself and taking care of your mental health. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Confession number 47. My ex texted me about getting back together once we both get better mentally. I thought it was a good idea at first because I thought I was healthy at the time. But no, it was unhealthy as hell, and it hurt me so much that I relapsed. I don't know what to do now because I'm deep in this now and I can't get out of it. Um, well, Thank you so much for sharing this. I'm sorry to hear that you don't think your relationship is healthy or that it is unhealthy. You deserve to feel safe in all of the partnerships that you enter into, friendships, romantic relationships, familial relationships. And if you or someone you know or love is suffering from like dating violence or emotional abuse, then I really encourage you to contact like Restore is a national organization that helps with those who are in unhealthy relationships. And there are other dating violence resources that we can put in the show notes as well. I respect that when we care about people and when we feel close to people, we want to sustain relationships with them, even if it sometimes comes at the expense of our own mental health. But at the end of the day, we do need to prioritize our own safety and our own mental well-being. And if this person is not treating you well, or if the nature of your dynamic is resulting in some harm for either of you, then I hope that you can find a way to end it. If it is unsafe for you to end it, because most DV situations or leaving is one of the most dangerous times, then I also encourage you to contact your local DV center or a national hotline. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is 800-799-7233. And they can help you create what's called a safety plan, which is basically a series of steps that you can have prepared for how you will go about leaving or making yourself safe in the event that something happens. And the experts there on that hotline can help you with the specifics and help you plan around that. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm really proud of you for sharing. I can resonate with this confession. Also, 47 is my lucky number. So you kind of won the jackpot at that one. I was in a very bad relationship in college, and it was very abusive, and he cheated on me frequently and made me feel like it was my fault. And so I resulted to self-harm behaviors. And I know every time I tried to leave, he kept trying to come back. Like a couple months later after I'd left and I thought everything was fine again, he kept trying to come back. So I understand this sucks. It's really hard, especially when you think that someone cares about you, but has been mistreated you, or you feel mistreated, or you start to mistreat yourself because of them. It's really, really difficult. What I would recommend is finding friends who know what's going on and will like give you advice to not get in that relationship. This is why community is really important, especially around interpersonal relationships, like romantic relationships. If you have other people that know what you're going through, that can support you and give you advice and support your decisions, that can make all the difference. The only reason why I didn't go back to him like the fifth time is because my roommate wouldn't let me leave the house. She was like, we're not going back. You're not going to do it again. And it honestly took me a long time because I felt this was you. Self-harm is honestly people trying to regulate themselves again. It is a form of a coping mechanism. It's a negative one, but it is a coping mechanism of you trying to reconcile with whatever's happening, whether it be hurting yourself or releasing something, because it sounds like you have a bunch of pent up emotions, and a lot of people self-harm to release. It's a very negative, it's very harmful, but it is something that people do, including myself. What I would recommend is whenever you feel like you need to self-harm because of whatever has happened, I want you to reach out to someone that you know cares about you and tell them what's going on and ask to spend time with them. A lot of us do not commit self-harmful behaviors when we're in public or when we're in a group setting. So I know that one of my safety plans for whenever I'm feeling like I need to self-harm is to be around other people. That really helps me. Even just talking about it, anything, not even just the self-harm, just talking to other people helps me get out of that state where I feel like I need to hurt myself to be okay. You can get through this. I'm really proud of you for sharing. Thank you. So this is Anonymous Confession 48. I met someone at a bar and I had them over for dinner and everything was fine and all up until a couple weeks after we met. We went to a concert together and I was vulnerable talking about my ex-fiance. Little background on my ex, she's abusive emotionally. The new girl went out of her way to, oh my God, go and get a hold of my ex and texted her. I found out that my ex told them a bunch of lies. For example, that I wasn't really transgender and I was a cis guy and got her pregnant and she had a miscarriage. The girl later messaged me a bunch of threats and really going after me, basically threatening to hurt me physically. What hurts the most is that she called me a narcissist, and these are really terrible things. I had to file a restraining order on her, and I feel so much guilt and remorse and anger about what I did wrong, what I could have done better. Hell, I even questioned how to mask better. It's an awful feeling when someone calls you such mean names, and the betrayal of my ex saying stuff to these people. I'm so hurt about it.
Wow. Um, I don't think you've done anything wrong here. It's very natural to feel guilt and remorse as an instinctual reaction when someone treats us poorly. A lot of us have been habituated from childhood. If we've experienced any form of insecure attachments and a lack of secure love and safety and attachment from trusted caretakers or other family members, we can then kind of trick ourselves, our brains and our nervous systems into feeling that mistreatment is our fault. And it's because we were asking for it in some way. So I don't want to diminish you feeling that um, that guilt and remorse. It's valid to feel those emotions, and also you're not alone. Lots of people who do experience different forms of abuse and betrayal believe that it's something that they did. Um, just in the context you've shared here, it sounds like you met someone and hit it off and went around the normal progression of getting to know someone better and dating, right? Having someone over for dinner. That's really sweet. It sounds like they have some issues going on if they're trying to do some due diligence by reaching out to your ex and also believing that person over you and not speaking to you directly. I also want to say that all forms of abuse are serious and unacceptable. So, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, these threats of physical violence, name calling like narcissism, all of that is really horrible. You don't deserve it. And I hope that you can go to, loveisrespect.org or thehotline.org and find some resources to help you kind of conceptualize the power and control wheel and things that can contribute to abusive dynamics and recognize different forms of abuse, come up with a safety plan. And I'm also very proud of you for resourcing so well and already getting an order of protection. Restraining order is the most colloquial term for that, but an order of protection is sounds like a great resource for you to keep yourself safe from this person. So I'm very sorry that this has happened, but proud of you for the steps you've already taken and hoping that you can treat yourself with some compassion and understand it's not your fault to be treated poorly. You don't deserve that. Grace, I am not hearing you,
I'm
which is,
also, there we go.
there we go.
My mic mutes itself after a time of not talking. Vibes.
Gotcha. So
Um,
if I yap too much, then it'll auto mute you. Good to know.
yeah. As I was trying to say, but my mic is muted. Um, I think it's appalling that your ex tried to call into question your gender identity. That's horrible. Genuinely irreconcilable, whatever that word is. That's like, I'm never fucking with you again. If like I've told someone my gender identity and then they try to, ah, that's horrible. And I know I'm smiling, but I get vengeful. I'm really proud of you again for getting a restraining order. That's beautiful. Um, I think you got a restraining order against the girl that you hit it off with, and that sucks. It really does suck. Um, if the ex tries to consistently tell lies to other people about you, that's called defamation of character. And I would pursue that if it gets any further than this. Like, say, if it goes online or like in public, I would file something against that person as well, because that's horrible. I'm so sorry that you went through that. I'm really, really proud that you're telling us about this, because you went through significant betrayal trauma. Significant. I hope everything is, getting better. I hope you still continue to put yourself out there on the dating scene, because not everybody is like this. Um, I will also caution you to not be that girl that says, "Oh, by the way, I have a toxic ex," but to, like, maybe on the fifth date, if you get that far, to say, "Hey, um, I just want to be open about this is what has happened to me, and this is how I feel about it," because God forbid this happens again, because I know us girlies are all, FBI agents when we go to stalk our, potential partners to see if they're a serial killer or not. Um, Try to make sure that people that you're dating, or at least your friends, are aware that this has happened, and that you have a strong foundation of who you are as a woman, because you are a woman, okay? Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise, right? You are loved.
Yeah. And loveisrespect.org does have a really great resource on the warning signs of abuse as well. So I highly recommend you check out all the resources on their website, but specifically like what to look out for, because instead of what you could have done differently, maybe there were some signs that this person exhibited when you were hitting it off that you just weren't aware of. And so to keep yourself safe in the future as you continue to date, and engage with people, I would highly recommend checking out that resource.
Me too. All right, Johnny.
All right, Grace. Number 49. Trigger warning here, mentions of witnessing abuse, alcohol, drug use, and more. Around when COVID had started, my dad was with my stepmom. She was an alcoholic, abusive, and other stuff. He had been apart from my drug addict of a bio mom for years. When my dad was at work, my stepmom abused my brother and sister but left me alone. I'm yet to understand as to why, though. I know my stepmom seemed like a jealous type of woman who was always wishing her children were like me and my siblings. Aside from that, though, I constantly was an abuse witness when it came to my sister and brother. And my dad left her back in April of 2020 due to him being fed up with her shit. She was extremely drunk that night and bit my dad's forearm, then asked my sister to call the cops. The cops pulled up to our place, and my stepmom was trying to drunk drive with her kids. She was arrested that night, which made things better. My dad constantly says that he's happy. That's how their marriage ended. Anyways, flash forward to October of last year. I had a self harm relapse and broke down crying in front of my friends, who forced me to speak to my counselor about it. If it wasn't for them, I'd probably be dead right now, because them making me talk to my counselor led me back to therapy. I was diagnosed with depression probably the following week. My friends were the first people that I told. I'm now feeling like my mental health has ruined my friendship with each of them. I've left that group around 3 times last year, but each time I went back to them around a few days after. All that aside, I'm currently 130 days clean from SH, but I've self-harm, but I've had the urge to relapse. My brother's treating me like a piece of shit and never really gets in trouble for it. I'm yet to break my 130-day clean streak because I know I can get further than that. I use much better coping mechanisms like music, gaming, writing, drawing, etc. to keep from relapsing. I want to be able to leave and stay out of my room for more than 5 minutes because my dad says that I'm hiding in my room, even though that's not what I'm intending to make it seem. Wow,
I'm proud of you.
that's a
Thank
big
you.
share.
Thank you for doing that for yourself, 130 days clean, and being able to differentiate the fact that, even when you feel like you should again, to not do it. I'm extremely proud of you. That is amazing. That is really amazing. And the fact that you're keeping track of how many days, that's really encouraging for yourself also. I'm really proud of you.
Likewise. continue to just monitor your triggers and don't blame yourself. I think that going through severe episodes of mental health can strain relationships. And yet there's also so much love and care and compassion in your friendships because those people have helped you start therapy and counseling to get on your 130-day streak. And I know in the past, when I have had mental health episodes, my initial response has been to be avoidant and say, like, oh, I can't receive care from people, or because I'm not doing well, other people won't want to be around me. So I should distance myself from them preemptively to protect myself from possible hurt. And what I can tell you confidently is that, true friends, even though it can be very difficult, will stick it out with you. And you just need to be explicit with what type of support you need. And you can trust in them to set boundaries around their capacity to support you. But you deserve support. So I'm very proud of you for the resourcing you've done here. And I also hope that since you've confessed this, you are more than 130 days and are continuing to feel better and better with each passing day.
Mhm. I think it's also encouraging that your dad knows what's going on and is aware. That's really encouraging. I know sometimes it can feel like, oh no, I'm getting called out by my dad. But what I'm hearing from what you've written is that your dad cares about you. And your dad loves you enough to mention when he notices that you're staying in your room. Um, I went through that phase of just being in my room all the time. I think it's pretty universal for most teens, which I'm guessing you're a teen. Um, Something that I would recommend is maybe going outside to your local park, just going for a walk outside. You can still listen to music on your headphones, going outside. That's really helpful. Or if you can drive, going for a drive, driving around your neighborhood. That's also really helpful. I'm really proud of you for sharing. And I know also what it's like to, I don't know if you lost the friendships, but to lose friendships over self-harm or suicidal tendencies. That happened to me recently, and Johnny knows all about it. And it was very difficult, but I have come from the other side and found the people who actually are there to support me, and the people that may not be there to support you, that may quote leave you, or you may leave them. It might just be that you need to find other people. And I know it can be really hard and we can feel really guilty, but sometimes we move away from our friends too. And sometimes we outgrow our friendships. And I'm glad that they were there to get you your help, but don't let that limit you from still continuing to find other relationships. And if you want to reconnect with them as well, let them know how guilty you feel and ask them if they want to continue to be friends, because maybe they don't, which is okay. It sucks, but it's okay either way. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, this is anonymous confession number 50. Warning for being told to unalive oneself. I forgot to add this bit to my previous confession. I've been getting bullied since 8th grade, and someone had told me that my depression was fake, despite the fact that I hadn't been properly diagnosed with it. The same bully had told me to kill myself quite a few times through the 8th grade. My ex also told me the same thing and called me the F slur last night. I just want to be able to be okay and not be judged for what I do. My ex had called me gay or made a stupid your mom joke, despite him knowing that I have no mother. There were several times where I had nearly cried, whether I was in class, at home, etc. My friends all have both their parents, and I just have my dad. I'll admit it's had me upset and wishing that I could have what they do. Anyways, sorry for a second confession. Don't be sorry. I was just needing to get this out somewhere. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's, I'm glad that you were able to unpack this and using this as a little journal entry. It's important. Um, I've had people tell me that my depression was fake also, because I'm a very happy go lucky person. I'm very high energy. And I've had a lot of people tell me that I was lying whenever I said that I was feeling suicidal or wanting to hurt myself or that I had depression. Um, those people are either A, masking their own self-worth issues and they see your projection of what you're going through and they think this is not the same as mine and therefore they call it fake. B, are just straight up ignorant assholes. Or C, they can't comprehend the dichotomy of mental health. They can't comprehend that someone could be suffering. There's a lot of people that are like that, that won't be able to comprehend suffering until they actually experience it. Also, you're very young in 8th grade. So a lot of people, unfortunately, won't understand until they get older, which makes this even harder, right? Because it's very isolating. I understand what it's like to be missing a parent. I lost my dad. Um, a lot of people will say horrible things to get a reaction out of you because it makes themselves feel better. I'm not excusing their behavior, but I'm explaining it. It's horrible what you are experiencing. It really, really is horrible. And I understand the desire to want your parent, want that support system, that unconditional love of a mother. I'm really, really sorry, honey. I'm sorry.
My commentary on this one is that it's a very powerful exercise to cultivate a set of standards for yourself of how you deserve to be treated. This is a journaling exercise. And so you should go take even one piece of paper and write down things like, I deserve to be treated with kindness. I will not tolerate someone calling me the F slur. I do not deserve to have people be homophobic towards me. I do not deserve to be called stupid, or I will not tolerate jokes about my mother. Um, Things like that. Cultivate a set of standards for yourself, and then read them and see how reasonable it is, that list of things, to be treated with kindness. And then start using those standards to and enforcing them on the people that you want to keep in your life. So the fact that whether it was while they were dating you or after you guys have broken up, regardless, that's not someone that should be in your life, if they're making those jokes and they're not being sensitive to you. Um, so I'm proud of you and I appreciate sharing, and I wish you the best of luck. I know you're going to find people who do treat you with the love and respect that you deserve.
Yeah, you will.
Number 51, just a lot of traumas that have been bothering me. Trigger warning, um, SA, abuse, neglect, being told to end your life, all thoughts revolving around suicide. So this was all when I was in 10th grade. I met this guy. He seemed quite kind and amazing. We had everything in common, but also nothing in common at all. It was fabulous. Things go by and we separate at least like 4 times and get back together. We swore on our lives he'd marry me when we graduated high school. I noticed he was always interested into sex and only wanted that from me, like all my past relationships, but he seemed different, so I let it slide. 11th grade summer came and gone, and along that was being SA'd multiple times, and I didn't even know it was that. It wasn't until I told my sister, we have no relationship anymore, that she said I was SA'd. Well, that changed everything. I tried to report it, but the Southern police suck ass. They just said he was a teenager. I had no one beside me, no support, no reason to exist. Still feel like total shit due to the stories I'm going to tell. Freshman year, new and fresh middle school. That's all in my past. It was constant bullying and this is a new story that you're sharing.
Mhm.
Freshman year, new and fresh. That's all in my past. It was constant bullying and torture, but I survived up until 10th grade. The first semester, I had attempted suicide due to how horrible I was being treated by everyone because of my past mistakes in middle school, which is a trend that comes up again. Well, I moved schools, Christmas of 10th grade. That all does matter. Just wanted to let you know I moved and I hadn't endured that torture until I graduated. Anyways, as I was a freshman or early sophomore, I met this person who was pretty cool and nice. They seemed it, at least. This was when I was heavily into musicals and Broadways back then, so therefore that's how we bonded. We FaceTimed, we chatted all the time, but things were slowly driving me insane due to how horrible that person was, and it made me become. They were very mentally ill and constantly told me they were going to commit death on themselves. Learning that behavior, I also told them I was going to do the same to them. We weren't a good duo together. We were feeding off of our horridness. Finally cut off all relationships with them, though due to how toxic I was, I would occasionally harass them back then for what they'd done to me. I told them to die, etc., because I was going through a fucked up time in my life and I didn't know how to cope. Well, as things moved on, I stopped harassing them but constantly tried to apologize and beg for forgiveness due to growing up. They didn't like that and would spread horrendous lies about me everywhere, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. I was outed there, and they also exposed me by showing the world our conversations non-consensually from my past and claimed I had recently said all those things. I tried to ignore it, and time goes by. Their friend reached out to me recently, telling me to hang myself in my closet, that no one loves me, I'm a mistake, all because of my past actions. They claim they knew all my social media and everything about me, and that I'm basically fucked if I don't leave them alone, which I already had been. So, due to this recent situation, I've been extremely alone and just not motivated to exist. I am always neglected by my peers, and no one listens or understands or takes me seriously. I'm hoping this will give some awareness to cyberbullying and being SA'd, but I also spread a PSA that our actions do have horrible consequences occasionally and that we need to think before acting because it will bite you in your ass one day. I hope all this makes sense. It's very all over the place and I'm basically rambling at this moment, but yeah, I hope you feel less alone.
Wow. I'm proud of you for saying all this. This is a lot. And I'm proud of you for the self reflection that you're doing about this was messed up that I did. I'm really proud of you for that. Like, I'm not going to excuse what you did because you didn't either. It's not good. But we do all grow over time. And I'm really sorry that you're experiencing this because bullying is never warranted, ever. No matter what we do, we don't deserve to be told to off ourselves. Ever. You don't deserve that. I do believe in consequences for your actions, but this is not what I would consider a consequence for your actions. It's very hard what you're going through, and it's very hard to, have a new reputation once a lot of people have decided that you're the villain or you're the bad guy. It can be very hard to, not just reinvent yourself, but express to them that who you were is not who you are now. But it's not impossible. It's not impossible to reinvent yourself. It's not impossible to change. It's not impossible to grow. We do it every day. I'm really proud of you for sharing this and an effort to help other people feel less alone. I'm
Yeah.
really sorry about what you've gone through, sweetheart.
Sending you some love and just saying I can empathize with parts of this experience. I was bullied quite severely in eighth grade through high school. I started public school in eighth grade. I'd previously been homeschooled, so it was a pretty tough acclimation at age 12 to like start socializing with other kids and um, yeah, cyberbullying, in-person bullying, physical bullying, messages written about me on my locker. And then in college, in high school, one of my coping mechanisms for the violence and turbulence that was going on in my house was I started drinking alcohol. And that was one of the only ways that I could basically tear down my inhibitions enough to cry and experience some release. So when I did that and I went to parties, I became known as a very unpredictable and volatile person because I would just drink a ton and then start like crying or act erratically. And this kind of followed me into college as I continued those behaviors. And it did create a reputation and a level of ostracization. Lots of stories were spread mischaracterizing things that were done or aggrandizing. One of my triggers was violence, so I sometimes when drunk in college would try to intervene if I thought that there was violence or conflict happening, and then stories would escalate and snowball that I had instigated violence. So I did experience some pretty horrible loss of reputation that I thought I would never be able to recover from. But I went through that period of wanting to continuously apologize and prove myself to others. And it's taken years, but I'm now reflecting and realizing that true accountability is commitment to not doing those same things. Accountability for doing harm is based on who was harmed. So if the person that has you've harmed doesn't want to hear from you or doesn't want your apology, then that is completely valid. They don't need to interact with you. So you need to find other mechanisms through which to absolve yourself of that guilt by moving towards a commitment to not do those things again. And you already have. You've reflected beautifully here in your acknowledgement that your past behaviors were toxic. And so it sounds like you're on the right path there. But you don't have to prove anything to anybody. Let your future actions and your future words and your future character speak for itself. You don't need to, essentially bend over backwards to show people that you've changed, or get them to acknowledge it, because that is a very, very relentless, demoralizing pathway.
Mhm. We move on to Anonymous Confession 52. Trigger warning. I don't know if this counts as abuse, homophobia, and transphobia. I came out to my parents about 2 years ago, and it feels like they've now completely forced the thought out of their minds that I'm gay. When I originally told them that I'm gay, they didn't even believe the text I sent them because it was too formal, and I don't talk like that. They thought my bisexual friend wrote that, and they literally told me that they thought I just thought I was gay because they say I follow my friend's interests and I have a bisexual friend. Like, no. They also told me that I shouldn't be open about my sexuality because people like you are always being targeted, that I should hide being gay from the world. My sister hasn't come out yet because she's utterly terrified of my parents' reaction. But she's like bi or pan and has a boyfriend. So whenever my parents talk about marriage around us, they include me in the hetero talk. It's just disgusting that they don't accept my sexuality. And it makes me afraid to tell them that I'm not cisgendered because they think being trans is a mental illness and constantly say all the time those exact words. And they say that they feel bad for transgender people because they're mentally ill. It's so hurtful. It's so disgusting. It's depressing me every time they do that. It just makes me worry that they'll reject me or try to force me into a conversion therapy program if I tell them I'm not cisgender. I just can't wait till I move out and go to college someday to escape this hate. And I don't want to have to feel this way. I love my parents, but they're just so toxic about the LGBTQ community. I experienced similar stuff. I identify as gender non-conforming and bisexual. When I tried to talk to my parental units about being bi because I had a girlfriend, I got in serious trouble, like really bad. And I don't want to talk about it because it'll make me cry. But I got in really big trouble for even saying anything like that. And they were very Christian and said it was a mental illness. And it's just really ill-informed bullshit. It's really unfortunate that a lot of parents refuse to acknowledge their children for who they really are. It's really unfortunate when parents choose an ideology over their child's life. over their child's well-being, over their child's able to thrive. It's really unfortunate that you feel like you need to escape to be who you really are. That's horrible. I'm genuinely very sorry that you're experiencing that. You shouldn't have to. I want to let you know I'm going to be putting some resources for the queer community in our description. I want you to check those out. They're important. I'm sorry that you're going through that, but on the plus side, when you do move out, you do get to express yourself fully. And that is something to look forward to. But something that you could do right now is still live your truth outside of your home, is still be true to who you are. Okay. And if it is safe for you, because you didn't mention, physical abuse, but if it is safe for you, slowly try to get people to call you by your pronouns, or if you're changing your name, just say, my name is this now. That can be really beneficial, really like gender confirming, to have other people, even if it's not your family, actually calling you by your chosen name or calling you by your gender. That could be really helpful. But it's being trans is not a mental illness. Being a part of the LGBTQIA is not mentally ill. We can have mental illness. I'm like, yeah, we can have mental illness, but we are not mentally ill because of our sexuality or our identity. That's just who we are.
Yeah. The best resource that I could offer is the Trevor Project. They are a nonprofit that works to support young people in the LGBTQ community who are either in crisis or just need support in any way, advocacy. They recently created the Trevor Space, which is this like online networking space and community where LGBTQ between 13 and 24 can help explore their identities, get advice, find support, and you're not alone in not having familial support for your identity. But that's a really powerful resource that I could recommend. That also they have like counselors available, and just reiterating what Grace said, that like your sexuality and your identity, even as it changes over time, none of that is related to mental illness. It is just a part of who you are, and there's nothing wrong with you. And I hope that you can find some loving community, especially locally, but if not, then online spaces like the Trevor Project's Trevor Space could be very helpful for you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Number 54. My parents have always made me feel really bad about myself. They call me things like abuser, narcissist, selfish, worthless, immoral, a sinner, and tell me they don't love me and that I'm not good enough. It gets to the point where for months they will do nothing but scream at me and guilt trip me, then act extremely nice like nothing happened for a week, and then the cycle repeats. My younger brother was born with severe medical conditions, so I'm expected to only express happiness, and I get punished for crying or having any emotion they don't consider acceptable. I feel so guilty for thinking this because he has had to go through surgeries at 2, but if I get a grade below an A plus, they scream at me and guilt trip me until I cry, at which point they get mad at me for crying. I just hate myself. I wish I could be perfect because maybe then they'd love me. They do not allow me to study unless I'm perfect. They physically block me from going out of the house. If I lock my door to get privacy or if I go to a school club anyway, they threaten to call the police. I have a lot of panic attacks because of this. My dad's side of the family is extremely religious. When they found out that I was interested in practicing witchcraft, my mom quoted the part in the Bible where it said that idolaters should be killed, and my dad screamed at me for hours. I went to a really religious school where there were bullies that made me stand up in front of people and chanted, "Burn the witch, burn the witch." I can't stop thinking that I'm going to go to hell and that God hates me, even though I don't believe in hell or God. I'm sorry for not believing in God. I was also outed at school by someone I thought I could trust, and all my friends ditched me because I was a creepy lesbian. At the beginning of this year, I made a couple of friends a lot older than me who I thought I could trust, but they manipulated me and got me in trouble with my parents. I wanted to off myself until this year, and I still self-harm, but thankfully I am almost rid of those dark thoughts because of my wonderful friends that I have now. My parents get mad at me for eating anything except vegetables or eating too much, but my brother can eat anything he wants because he's skinny. They love my brother more than me. They never emotionally abused him about how they treat me. They never emotionally abused him because he's a survivor of his medical problems. I've tried confronting my parents about how they treat me, but they just say that it never happened and then the guilt trip me much more. I don't feel valid or like my abuse is real because other people have it much worse. I feel like a bad person and like I'm not worthy of love and that I don't deserve to eat. This is affecting my friendships and life in general because I don't trust anyone, no matter how nice they are. I just don't want to get hurt again. I have panic attacks whenever someone raises their voice or expresses even a little bit of anger. I have flashbacks and memories I can't control. I cry a lot and feel like a bad person for crying. I ask my friends over and over again if they're mad at me and uncontrollably apologize. I know it's probably annoying to them, but I can't seem to make myself stop. I feel like I'm constantly walking on eggshells, even around safe people. The worst part is I have to live with this for a few more years until I go to college. I just want parents that actually love me. It's just not fair.
No, it's not fair, sweetheart. And I resonate with a lot of this. I had a very emotionally abusive mother who would scream at me about God and all things pertaining to God. Don't feel sorry about not believing in God, okay? You get to believe whatever you want to believe, and you should never feel sorry about it. I'm also a witch, a practicing witch. If you ever feel like hitting me up just to talk, I'm available. You can reach out to me in the DMs. Um, that's for anybody who wants to reach out. Reach out, please. I'll chat with you. Um, you are not a bad person. You are worthy of love, something that you can practice if you are wanting to continue to practice witchcraft is writing down mantras to say to yourself and repeating them over and over, especially when you're in these dark times where people that are supposed to love you are despising you and rejecting you. It's actually the complete opposite of the Christian faith to do this. So it's extremely hypocritical of what they're doing right now. What I would want you to do is write down that you love yourself, that you are worthy of love, that you are capable of love, that you will freely give love and freely receive love, that you will not accept any less and you will accept much more, that you are going to get through this, that you are good, you are light, you are love, you are enough. All right, because you are. Mantras like these really, really help me. And writing them down and then repeating them over and over and over really do help me as well. And it is part of witchcraft. I really hope that you can find a space where you are safe. I know what it's like to feel really unregulated around even safe people and constantly be apologizing. You just need to reaffirm and remind yourself that you're not a burden, that there's nothing that you should be ashamed of, clearly, and that you deserve love. You deserve consideration. I really, really hope that you're doing better after this, because this is something I really resonate with, and I really, really hope that you can find a space where you can practice your beliefs and learn what you believe and create that foundation for yourself. Because this is just really shitty what you're going through, but it will get better. I promise it
Yeah.
will.
I would say probably stop sharing stuff with your parents. And like they, through very many different examples that you've shared here, are not safe. They are abusers. And so I would also consider like, is overtly practicing witchcraft and sharing with your abusers that you're doing things like this, is that necessary for you right now? Um, I would prioritize doing whatever you can to keep yourself safe, which might be not telling them about your beliefs and identities. You do deserve to have parents that love you. You deserve to have adults and peers and friends and family members who love you and support you and champion you. Unfortunately, not all of us get that, but because you are a minor, you're not in control of your environment right now. And so just do whatever you can to prioritize your own safety, because as Grace said, it will get better as you grow older and you're able to distance yourself from your abusers. You're going to be able to control your own environment and create one of safety for yourself. Find people who do love you. But for now, I hope that you can, do whatever you can do to keep yourself safe, even if that means not talking to your parents about your values in witchcraft. And no one benefits when you are harmed. So I appreciate this share.
Yes, I do too. Good job, baby. All right. Anonymous confession 55. Oh, this really hit me. I wish I could be the type of daughter my dad wants me to be. Oh, girl. My room is a fucking disaster of a mess. He's told me several times to clean it. Unless it's the middle of the night, I never have the motivation to clean it. Clean it. I sometimes wish he knew what being a teen in modern day was like, because I just need someone's empathy and I can't get it because either nobody knows how to help, or if they can help me. I'm just done at this point. I'm sick and tired of having to fight the never-ending battles with my depression and anxiety. I'm just done and needing someone to understand that. We understand. We understand. Oh, baby. Girl, I felt that on a cellular level. I used to be a disaster also in my room. Oh. Something my therapist told me one time is that your room kind of reflects your mental state. So for me, when I was really anxious and really depressed, my room was chaotic. There's cups and bowls everywhere, random undrank water bottles, half drank water bottles, like art all over the floor, clothes all over the floor. I just felt like I have no motivation to hang it. What I suggest for you and for anybody who is struggling with cleaning their room, do one thing at a time, very slowly. Start with, say, something that's closest to the door and work inward. Okay? So start your door. Look around. What is the first thing on the floor that you need to pick up? Pick it up and find a place for it that is now this thing's home. Okay? So if it's a t-shirt and it's clean, if it's dirty, put it in the hamper, right? But if it's clean, dust it off, shake it out, put it on a hanger, fold it, whichever you prefer, and put it away. Do one task at a time. Do the next right thing and do it slowly. Okay. If you get frustrated, give yourself 5 minutes, take a break, and then come back to it. Do the next right thing. Okay. If you have cups and bowls in your room, put them in a pile by the door. Okay. And then after you're done cleaning your room, take the cups and bowls to the sink and wash them. Don't just put them in the sink for your mom or your parent or your sibling to do. Keep yourself accountable. Wash your dishes. Okay. Once you have picked up all the trash in your room, right? Take it to the garbage. Okay. You can do this. And then after you have cleaned your room, I want you to be grateful that you have a room to begin with. Not everybody has their own bedroom. Okay. I want you to start practice mindfulness and gratitude towards the things that you do have. Okay. Because gratitude really, really combats feelings of depression. Okay. Depression is often associated with a lack of things, right? With a lack of whether it be, things that are physical, things that are mental, things that are spiritual, or connection with other people. I want you to start feeling gratitude for the things that you do have, and that will help you a lot. That gratitude has what really, really helped me become a very clean person, because I have gratitude for the space that I have. I have gratitude that my fiance has a job that can pay for our home. I'm grateful that I have the ability to make art and decorate my home to reflect me. For me, it's all about being grateful. Your dad cares about you. I know it's like, it's stressful, but if you have motivation in the middle of the night to clean it, go for it. Middle of the night, clean, do it. Whenever you have the motivation to do it, do it. But if you're struggling with motivation, one thing at a time really helps. Johnny has given his thumbs up and nodding head seal of approval. We will move on.
Number 56. For over 2 years now, I've been talking to one of my exes romantically, but are not officially dating. For some context, back in 2022, we got together, but it didn't last very long, as what led to our break involved having sex for the first time. I was devastated, as we did get into some good conversation while we were dating. I'm not the possessive type, and I in no way, shape, or form would try to make them stay with me. So day by day, I would try to get over the breakup, which I eventually did. But the moment I recovered, my ex messaged me asking if I still like them. I then used their words on them, saying that I was happy to remain friends. A few days later was when we started talking again romantically, but without being in a romantic relationship. Things seemed fine after that until they wanted me to perform certain things on them, bedroom wise, and I absolutely refused, as doing so would go against my values. After I would say no, they would try again a couple of days later, and again I would say no. Unfortunately, a problem that I have is that I have a fear of confronting people, especially my friends. And because of that, I allowed this person to cross my personal boundaries. And ever since then, I've felt like I've betrayed myself. Unfortunately, it only got worse from there as they would message me asking if I wanted to come over and do it. At times, and this has happened mostly, I have had to decline as I had things to do for my family. Whenever I've said stuff along the lines of that, they would still try to get me to come over. Eventually, it came to the point where I wouldn't respond to their messages just to get some peace of mind, even if that meant avoiding social media completely to make it look like I was unavailable. I don't want this to continue. I miss this person. I miss the person I was between ages 19 to 21, as at the time I didn't worry about any of that stuff. I never told anyone about what we've been up to, as I'm ashamed of myself for even going through with it. You are experiencing sexual harassment and assault by way of coercion. When someone is begging and pleading for you to do something with them sexually and not taking no for an answer, that is unacceptable. And I think that this person should not be a part of your life in any capacity. I don't think that you should be signing off of social media and feeling so harassed that you remove and isolate yourself from other people and from social media in order to escape from their advances and their harassment. They should be blocked. You do not deserve this treatment. I'm so sorry. And the sometimes we think that these types of connections are still valid and loving in some ways, so we're willing to put up with abuse or maltreatment. But I promise you that the people who will truly love you in your life are never going to abuse you. And if they do harm to you, they will apologize and try to repair it and make a commitment not to do it again. And it sounds like this person has not only not done that, but they continue to persist in doing the things that hurt you, make you feel like you're violating your personal boundaries, betray you, and are just motivated by by sex and by lust. So I'm very sorry. Also, self-compassion is necessary here. When you're a kid, sometimes it feels like sexual connection, or when we're learning about our bodies and other people's bodies, and by kid I mean teenager, or whenever it is that some of us willingly become sexually active, it feels like that's an okay way to connect with people, and that's what people want, so maybe we should just do that. But it's okay to regret that and learn from it, that it doesn't put this black stain on your character. Virginity is a social construct. You're just a human in a flesh suit that is learning all about your body. And part of respecting it is having compassion and understanding, like, If you don't want to be sexual or be sexually active, you don't have to be. And just because it's something you experimented with when you were younger, that doesn't make you a bad person. So just do whatever you feel comfortable with your body. And yeah, you deserve safety.
You do. That was good, Johnny. I really appreciated that. All right. 57. Trigger warning for, well, the censored stuff. Vibes. Ah, murder. Okay. Last night, my dad, brother, and I were swimming. Everything was going fine up until my brother got all up in my face. He does this a fucking lot. And my dad said that if my brother continues to do so, I have every right to defend myself from him. So I told him, my brother, that if he kept getting in my face, I'd dunk him in the pool. He took it as me saying I'm going to attempt to murder him. And that obviously was not my intention. So I took a breather and tried to tell him that I would never do that to him ever. I fucking hate the way that he acts as if he's the perfect child and can never do wrong. I'm just glad that my dad finally sided up with me for once. I just can't say or do anything to my brother because he will quite literally take everything as me trying to hurt him or whatever. I don't want him to see me as a villain in the future. And I even told him last night that I don't see why he makes me seem like a fucking monster. Sibling issues are hard. It sounds like your brother has a lot of projection issues, and that sucks. I can relate to that. Yeah, a lot of siblings will take things to the extreme to get the other sibling in trouble. It's not good. It's not great, but it is something that happens a lot, especially with brothers, I've noticed, or younger siblings. I don't know if your brother is younger, but I do know a pattern of that. I'm really sorry that your sibling took your words and skewed them in such a way that tried to make you, first of all, like it was deflection to try and make it be like, oh, I can't believe you would say something like that to me. Yeah, and not hold accountability for the shit that they were stirring to start it in the first place. I'm really sorry. What I would suggest is you disengage. If things like this are happening again, yes, you do have every right to defend yourself, but disengaging, stonewalling is going to do all the difference with siblings that try to get a rise out of you. Okay. That's something that your sibling needs to assess and work on within themselves of using this. But you're not a villain. You're not a monster. Okay. No one is in general, but you definitely are not. When your sibling is trying to get a rise out of you, either leave, like physically leave, or say, I'm not going to discuss this with you. Okay. Set that boundary. If they're not going to respect that boundary, don't be around them. Period. Point blank. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it getting your nervous system dysregulated over a fight or flight situation that shouldn't even exist in the first place.
I would also wonder what's going on in your household or with your brother's life, maybe at school, for him to be projecting like he is, right? To be so aggressive towards you, and then also have such a big fear reaction when you say, like, set a boundary or like, stop this or I'm going to dunk you, right? So that's clearly something's going on. I also think your dad's response, I'm going to assume that maybe you are also like male identifying, because his response to me feels very boys will be boys. Like, oh, well, if your brother's get in your face, like stick up to him. Like I think that's a very patriarchal attitude of, well, brothers are supposed to fight and it's your responsibility to fight back. That's not how siblings need to interact. That's not how boys or men need to interact with one another. So I'm sorry you're going through that, but Grace's advice is solid. try to disengage as much as possible, and maybe think about what else is going on in his life. If maybe he's being bullied at school, maybe there are people picking on him, to get him to try to bring that energy and kind of repeat a cycle in the home in a relational dynamic with you, where he's trying to egg you on and get physical with you. And I'm very sorry this is happening. You're not a monster.
No, you're not.
Confession 58. The things I could do to my grandparents, y'all. I spend every weekend with them as a way to get me out of the house, and not a weekend goes by where they don't fight over the stupidest crap. I could kill them both right now if it were legal. I wouldn't hesitate a bit, because that's just how freaking ticked off they make me. Okay, don't do that, please.
Yeah,
Please don't kill.
don't kill your grandparents. That I'm really sorry you're going through that. Thank you for letting us know instead of offing your grandparents, because that frustration is real. Johnny, do you know any tips or tricks of how people can get out their frustration physically that doesn't harm themselves or others?
Breath work, deep breathing. You can do a 2-part breath where you inhale deeply through the nose, and then when you feel that your lungs are almost full, you take another big kind of sip of air, and then exhale, sigh it out with a sound like that. That is a pretty simple stress relief breath. And I also think that you are in control of your own schedule. It's a very brief confession here, but you said you spend every weekend with them to get out of the house. Maybe you don't spend every weekend with them, and maybe find other ways to get out of the house. You're in control of that, right? So the thing that's making you mad and stressing you out is their bickering. You are choosing to be around their bickering all the time. I think that goes above and beyond just your obligation to like be a good grandchild and help support them, or do stuff with them. If it's really that big of an issue for you, maybe try one weekend a month, right? Because it is not good nor healthy to harbor physical feelings of violence towards someone. And yeah, I hope that you can find a way both to regulate your feelings of the intensity of the emotion of anger that you're feeling. All emotions, there's no negative emotions. All emotions are just teachers that are trying to, and signals trying to tell us stuff. And anger is the boundary setting emotion. It's the one that says something needs to stop. So if you're angry with them because you want them to stop bickering and fighting, and the way that you can channel that anger is to set a boundary and say, I will not spend every weekend with them because it makes me angry. And then when you do feel angry, use breathing techniques to regulate the intensity of the anger, bring it down.
Mm-hmm. Anonymous Confession 59. My dad is a Trump supporter and a bit of misogynist. Oh, Trump supporters are something else, man. Like, there's being a Republican and then there's being a Trump supporter. Oh my God. I gotta tell you guys something. Like, confession right now. My family, they're all Trump supporters. Oh my God. And I gotta tell you something else. I went to Trump's inauguration. Oh, yeah. That sucks. Especially if you like don't like Trump supporters. Misogyny sucks also. Your dad needs to do some inner work, man. Your dad needs to do some inner work. I'm glad that you recognize it. Reframe it as this is something I don't want to be, and use it to reaffirm your own identity and how you choose your political values, what you determine is right from wrong. But I would strongly advise not to have a political discussion with your dad about this, because it can only end in tears, especially around stuff like that. So just avoid at all costs and soldier on. I'm proud of you. We're going to move on.
Confession number 60. I don't want to move anymore. I'll lose my trampoline, which is the only thing that self-regulates me and makes me think my thoughts while having fun. My parents don't understand that my trampoline is not just a want that I can live without. It's an actual need. I can't live without regulating myself. I don't know how to get them to buy a temporary trampoline just so I can regulate myself, especially in a stressful move where my entire life is flipped upside down. I don't know how to get them to understand, but suicide seems like the only way they'll ever know how much this is hurting me and how I don't feel, how I don't like or feel happy with this move at all. I don't see a future without my trampoline, to be honest. Call me a baby or self-absorbed or whatever, but I've sacrificed so much for my parents. The least they can do is sacrifice some money to rent a trampoline or something. Too bad they never understand how badly something affects me until it interferes with my schoolwork, in which my dad proceeds to yell at me or call me useless or something like that. All I can say is the end is near. Sorry, everyone. Um, I hope that whoever posted this confession, I hope you're still around and here. Your life matters. You deserve to feel safe and loved and regulated. I'm sorry that your parents cannot understand how important your trampoline is for you. A very quick, physical, no trampoline way of regulating your body is something called the elastic shake, which is where you stand up and you can put your feet shoulder width apart and you bend your knees just ever so slightly, and you basically start to like shake up and down, bending at your knees, and you can move your shoulders a little bit, you can move your arms. And this is a really good way for our nervous system to regulate, that I think is probably similar to one of the effects that you're getting in your trampoline. So in the short term, as you are not able to have a physical trampoline, maybe try an elastic shake for a couple minutes every morning or every time you need to regulate. Just try that out with some music, some headphones. Um, I hope that my voice was still coming through while I was elastic shaking on this call. But you're not a baby for wanting something to self-regulate, but I do encourage you to look for other ways to do that regulation if your parents are not able to buy one. And maybe an example here is like reaching out to some extended family or for to borrow some money or and buy yourself like a small trampoline, like figure
Go to a
out a way.
trampoline park.
Yeah. Um, good luck.
Good luck. Godspeed. Trampoline parks are great. I love trampoline parks. Maybe see if there's one in your area. If there is, I would say parental units. I need to go to the trampoline park, and this would be a great way for you to show me that you care about me. This is how I need to regulate and express myself. Advocating for yourself is never wrong. If they're going to deny you advocating for yourself, go to another adult. Okay. If you are a young person and you need someone to give you money to go to a trampoline park, go to another adult. Keep pursuing. Your life is worth living, and I really hope you're still alive. This is Confession 61. I feel lost. The entire political situation of the US has me feeling hopeless for the future. This isn't the country I want my kids to grow up in. I want to live somewhere safe. I want to have healthcare rights, paid maternity leave, and not be persecuted for being LGBT. The issue is my boyfriend's father's family sacrificed a lot to get to the US. He feels like it's betraying his father's family to leave and would prefer to stay. I respect that and completely understand why he feels that way, but I don't know if I can be here. I really want to marry him, but I'm scared this might lead to a breakup. I don't want to lose him. I'm scared for the future. I'm scared for the future too, homie. Yeah, it is very dark times that we're living in as either, a woman or someone owning a vagina, which I'm assuming that you do have one. Um, it is very terrifying to have your reproductive rights taken away. Like just for honestly, for me, it feels like no freaking reason. Um, if you feel like you need to move, do it. I If you feel like your life is in danger and moving someplace else will keep you safe, do it. There are more left wing states that have more reproductive rights than others. So if you cannot move, say, to another country like Ireland, which has really good reproductive rights, I would try to advocate for moving to another state that has more um, not rights in place, but they're more signed into the state's constitution. Please continue to advocate for yourself, but sweetheart, you need to choose yourself. You need to choose yourself. Saying this as someone who also owns a uterus. If your life is in danger, choose yourself. I know it's very hard to lose relationships, but if you feel like you are in danger, please choose yourself. I can't stress that more. We're going to move on to 62.
While I'm okay many days, there are some days I wish I were dead. Why? Because on really bad days where my depression takes a hold of me and the realization of my reality is again at the forefront of my mind, I can't help but think being dead is better than the suffering I'm going through right now. As much as I want to keep living, I don't think I have anything left to look forward to in life. And that only fuels my depression even more. So does the isolation, but that's something I've had to deal with for most of my life. I know one thing for sure. It's really hard to come to terms with the fact that the person you still love doesn't want you around anymore. That's the worst feeling in the world, and that's probably the number one reason I have bad days like these, where I just want to give up. I don't expect a solution. I don't even think there is one, because I don't have access to mental health professionals right now. I just wish I didn't have to suffer like this. I want more good days, not these bad days. But sometimes, no matter how hard I fight it, this depression just takes hold all over again. This is the result. I'm so tired of everything. I want to be at peace.
September is Suicide Awareness Month. There are going to be so many resources in our description and the resources that we've given at the top of the episode. It does get better. I know you're in a place where you feel like there isn't any release, but the fact that you want release is something to focus on. Okay. You don't want to be dead. You want the situation to be over. All right. We don't want to end everything. We want whatever situation is happening to end. Your life is worth living, even if you feel like it isn't right now. It is. There will never be another you. Ever, 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 ever. The odds of you existing right now is 1,000,000,000,000,000,000 to 1. The fact that you are here on this earth at this time, at this moment, is a miracle. I'm not saying this to guilt trip you, but to make you recognize that you are unique and special. And the only thing that you should focus on when you're feeling these horrible things is to actually reaffirm how valuable you are. Whether that is to take a moment and write down all the things that you like about yourself. You can write down, I'm good at writing. Like, this was very well put, what you're going through. It's almost poetry, what you're going through. You described what is happening. Continue to write like this. Okay. Share what you're going through, because I know people connect with this. I connect with it. Your life is worth living. Please continue to find people that support you and love you. I know it's very hard to lose a relationship, but when one door closes, you can bust open a freaking window. Okay? You can. Hi, Johnny. How you feeling? You feeling upset about this comment?
I'm just I'm just hurting on behalf of you, and I'm really sorry you're going through this, and you're not alone. Your life does matter. Everything you said to Grace was brilliant, and whoever made this confession, I also know that one day you're going to be in a position where someone expresses that they're going through this to you, and you'll be able to speak to them from a place of empathy and compassion, and you're going to make them feel less alone because you'll have gotten through it as well. Um, and that in and of itself is another huge reason to keep living, is our capacity to be of service to others.
Mm-hmm. This is 63. I found out that I was a failed abortion. My mom doesn't want anything to do with me, and it sucks even more because my parents are divorced and I live with my mom full time. I only see my dad every other weekend, but he loves me a lot. You are not a failed abortion. You were meant to be here. Okay? Don't let your mom's past actions influence who you are right now. You are loved by your dad. Yeah. It sounds like you are a young person. I want to have you tell your dad the things that your mom is saying to you and ask him to fight to have full custody of you, because that's abuse. Because there's no way of you knowing that you're a failed abortion unless she told you. So please ask your dad to fight to have you, because I'm sure he would. Okay? You deserve to be loved and in a environment where you are appreciated for who you are. All right? You are not a failed abortion. You are meant to be here. Okay? You are. I'm glad that you're able to recognize your dad loves you, because he does. I'm sorry that your mom is hurting. I'm really sorry that your mom is hurting and is taking it out on you. Continue to share, please, okay? You deserve love.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll say is on that one, just very quickly, is a resource that your dad might be interested in is called the Dadvocates, and they help fathers do this exactly, which is to fight in family court for custody, because that is a system that is often skewed against fathers. So yeah, the Dadvocates would have resources for him.
This is Anonymous Confession 64. I'm feeling low as fuck right now. I hate that my brother's quite literally the perfect person in my family. I don't know why, but it's making me suicidal again. I'm too scared to actually talk to people about it because it just gets shoved to the side like I don't matter. I've contemplated suicide before, yet I've never acted upon it other than self-harm. I just miss when I would never get yelled at or put beneath my brother. I just want to feel okay and talk to someone about feeling badly for it or anything. You should talk to it. 988 is the crisis lifeline number. It sounds like you still live with your parents, which I'm assuming you still go to school. I would try to talk to your school counselor about the things that you're going through. I'm glad that you have never acted upon suicidal ideations. Thank you. We're going to be putting some more resources for, oh, hi, Gigi. Gigi says she loves you. We're going to put some resources for suicidal ideation in the Discord as well as on the show notes. Thank you for sharing, sweetheart.
Okay, confession number 66. I'm so sick and tired of trying to help my friends when they won't listen. All of my friends run to me and ask me for help, and I try to give them so much of my life to try and give them an easier time. They want to act like they would be there for me too, and I want to think that they would be, but I know the moment I rely on them, they would all get mad at me. I can't tell anyone either of these things, and it hurts a lot. I'm very sorry you're going through that. It sounds like you are someone who has a lot of love and compassion, but you are pouring out of an empty cup, right? You've got nothing in your cup and you're continuously trying to pour into others without reciprocity and without supporting yourself. Um, there are going to be people, I empathize with this. I am also someone with a huge heart, a lot of abundant love. A lot of people feel very connected to me. And because I am so empathetic, it can be very quick for someone to feel close to me and want to um, get even closer to me and ask me for advice or time or emotional presence. So I often feel very stretched thin, and I've gone through phases of my life where I feel so incredibly stretched thin that I start to develop resentments, and just start to feel guilty and self-blame for not being having enough capacity for every single person. But I have learned through my adulthood, my mid to now late 20s, that those feelings are um, those resentment feelings are due to a lack of boundary setting. So if you are truly friends with these people, you should be able to define for yourself what friendship is. For me, friendship is based in reciprocity, not always a complete equal reciprocity, because sometimes your friends go through hard times and they don't have the capacity to show up for you in the exact same way you show up for them. But overall, there should be themes of mutual love and exchange and support, and they should add to your life. Not in the exact same way, but they should add to your life like you add to theirs. So if you don't have people like that, then I would advise you to think about what your boundaries are. Boundaries are not just arbitrary rules, they are enforceable and easily articulable. So if you come to me for advice around your breakup and it takes more than an hour to talk to you about it, I will not be interested in talking to you about that subject for at least a week. That's an enforceable, articulable boundary. And then it becomes a boundary when you actually act on it and say, hey, we talked about your breakup last week for an hour and you're texting me again 2 days later to talk about it. I'm not interested in talking about this until next week. Okay. And if they get mad at you and try to retaliate, then those are not people who need to be in your life, because they are energetic drains. And it's up to you to set boundaries for yourself, and make space and room for those who are going to contribute and reciprocate, and love you the way that you love them.
Yes. And a boundary I'm going to set right now, because we have so many, and I'm so grateful for all of these anonymous confessions. We're going to stop, because there's a lot. We're going to stop after 2 more. And then I'm going to read the rest of them outside of this call, because it is late for Johnny right now. And I also have to teach in about 20-ish minutes. So we're going to stop after 69. 69, okay? But I will continue to read them later in this episode, which you already know. But Johnny will be leaving at 69. Vibes. All right. This is 67. I often feel like I'm being over dramatic over how I feel. Like I'm trying to be mentally sick, or so I can say I have mental problems. Sometimes I think I make up feelings or problems so I can be different. Like if I'm watching a video about anxiety or something and I think, oh, that sounds like me. And then my brain will say, no, it doesn't. You're just trying to say that so that you have anxiety. I don't know which part of me is right and how to know if I'm really being overdramatic. This also makes me feel like no one really wants to hear about my problems. Like I have too many problems, or that they could be worse. And that people would look at my problems and say, you're being overdramatic emotional. Maybe I am. I don't know. Speaking as someone who has 2 drama degrees, yeah, sweetheart, if you think, am I being overdramatic? No, you're not. That is something that has been like placed on you by either people in your life or by, something that you have partaken in, like the internet or something like that. I don't believe in being over dramatic as I grow as an adult. I believe in feelings being mismatched with the situation, but those are your feelings. Okay. What I would suggest you do, because it sounds like we need to start working on self-doubt, okay, is writing down that feeling, capturing that feeling, and questioning, okay, do I really have that feeling, but not questioning it as, oh, I'm wrong, oh, I'm wrong, oh, I'm wrong, but as introspection. Why do I feel this way? Why am I thinking this way? Okay. You're not over emotional. You're not over dramatic. You are someone who feels strongly, and that is a blessing. Okay. It's a blessing to have strong feelings, but we also need to mediate where we have those feelings and who we allow to see those feelings, because not everybody deserves that closeness. Not everybody deserves that vulnerability. Okay. And I'm speaking also to myself. Not everybody gets the privilege of knowing the deepness of your soul and your spirit and your expression. Okay. So it sounds like you need to do a lot of introspection, which is beautiful work. and getting to know who you are and why you feel the way you feel these things.
If you need a validation mechanism for the feelings that you feel, well, first of all, it's not that different to have mental illness. So that's just me telling that mean part of your brain, like, hey, you're not a special snowflake for having those, because a lot of us do experience mental health crises and mental illnesses and are struggling. So that's not an uncommon thing. So you're definitely not being overly dramatic. Like you would become a member of a very large community. Um, and so that wouldn't become the most unique thing about you. I know that. Um, and the second thing is practice this process of interoception. Interoception is our ability to connect physical sensations in our bodies with emotions. So if you watch a video on anxiety and it's saying, well, people who are anxious tend to overthink, symptoms of anxiety include hyperventilation, trouble breathing, sometimes tightness in your chest, or sinking sensation in your stomach. Then practice like doing a body scan and saying, well, I feel anxious a lot. And I know that I'm feeling anxious because in my body, I get really warm and my pulse quickens. I can feel my heart beating in my chest faster, and I feel kind of a tightness, or like I'm kind of like struggling to breathe, or I hyperventilate. And then you're there corroborating the emotions you're associating with anxiety with the physical sensations. And then that you're like validating yourself, and you can say, be quiet, mean part of my brain. I am feeling anxiety because I'm feeling all of the symptoms and sensations associated with it. So it is true. And yeah, sometimes we could be our own worst enemies.
Yes, very true. Last one you're going to read, homie.
Okay. I went on a road trip. This is anonymous confession number 68. I went on a road trip with my family, and I do love them all dearly. But lately, I've been so irritated by just them existing. Even if they're just talking about anything, I want to bash their heads in. I try to escape by staying away from them, but they make fun of me and call me selfish. I don't know if it's just because I've been around them too much or if it's me, but I feel like I'm going crazy. The only thing that helps me feel better is music, but I think they still see me as selfish for not hanging out with them. Um, I think that you might just be a teenager. It's possible that you're just a teenager. And I'm sorry to laugh. Grace and I are laughing not to diminish this sensation, but just because we probably deeply both resonate with this. Sometimes that's what adolescence is like you have no legitimate reason for being so irritated at the existence of others, especially your family and the people you cohabitate with. But that's just how be sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with it. You're not a bad person. You're not selfish for needing alone time or for experiencing these emotions. Do whatever you got to do to navigate these feelings, even if it means taking time for yourself and music. Maybe if it helps, write out, like if you love your family, right? So like write that, say like if being around them in person and it's hard to say these things, maybe write a note, say, I love you guys so much. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm just feeling super irritable lately. And this is not because I don't like you. It's what's coming up for me. And I don't want to be irritable around you. I don't want to be mean to you guys. So I just need my space. Try writing that out on a note, see if they understand. And chances are they're just not thinking about the fact that they were teenagers once too, when it comes to your parents. So yeah.
Very true. I'll also share a sciencey fact. The reasons why we get very irritated and disgusted by our family reaching our teen years is because we're supposed to leave our family dynamics to prevent inbreeding. This happens with all mammals. It's a real thing. Uh, to prevent, inbreeding, we differentiate. We think of our family as disgusting, as we don't want to be around them. Even qualities that say we like in other people that are the same as our parents or our family members, we're not going to see those qualities as good qualities in our family members because we're supposed to differentiate. We're supposed to leave our family dynamic and create a new one. So it's good actually that you're feeling these feelings. You're a healthy human being, and I'm glad that you are distancing yourself and you're not selfish. Okay, quite the opposite. You're trying not to do something you shouldn't. Like enmeshment in families is very hard, and I'm glad that you are differentiating yourself and not becoming enmeshed. So, closing thoughts, Johnny, the king of men's mental health in my eyes.
Men's mental health. Tell that to all of the other men's mental health guests that have been on your podcast. That's wow. My closing thoughts are going into this, I did not know what to expect. I knew that people would be disclosing trauma of various types, but I did not realize it would tend so heavily towards what I feel are like quite young people below the age of 25. So that's kind of weighing a little heavily on me, is just processing like 90 plus minutes of various themes of abuse in children. That is, so I'm like gonna definitely take a walk after this to regulate. Um, and closing thoughts for the audience for my participation are just like, thank you so much for
Yeah, for the
but
audience, because I'm gonna keep reading.
yes. Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right, cut that out then. Um, my
No, I'm not gonna cut it out.
my closing thoughts for the audience are that you're not alone. Even in the darkest moments in your life, there are people who are going through something similar to you, and their struggles are made easier and lightened when you share. And so just by sharing anonymously, you've already helped a lot of others, including Grace and myself, because we've been able to reflect on our own traumas and things that we've been through because of your bravery and vulnerability in sharing on an online forum. So thank you so much for the trust and honor it has been to engage with your stories and to give you what advice I feel comfortable enough to do. And thank you so much, Grace, for having me on.
I am grateful to have you on because, yes, like I have had many men's mental health professionals on, but I sincerely appreciate, your wisdom and guidance because you help showcase a lot of other men's mental health, people that you're like, I resonate with this guy. This guy's a good guy. Let me advocate for this guy. Let me put this guy on my platform. So I really strongly encourage any men or mask presenting or anybody who just wants some mental health inspiration or guidance, please go check out Hey Brother Co on Instagram and on TikTok. Johnny is amazing, and I really appreciate his insightful, wisdom and his willingness to learn and grow and, change his perceptions on what it is to be a man and help other men change their perceptions on what it is to be a man and grow a community of thoughtful individuals. My fiance really does love Johnny and is doing a men's work thing with Johnny right now, and it's really helping him. So I would strongly encourage all of you guys to go check him out, Hey Brother Co or Hey Brother Johnny on social media. It's truly an honor to call Johnny my friend and be allowed to know him on a personal level. I know he's like, oh, everybody wants to be my friend. It's so draining, but I do enjoy being Johnny's friend. He's a good egg. And I really appreciate that he lets me be his friend because I feel so honored now. Wow, that's so cool. But yeah, Johnny, you're great. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you because this is a lot. Yeah, it is a lot to read all of these.
I got oodles and boodles of respect for you for creating this platform, and I love being your friend too. And thank you so much. I'm really proud of you.
Hello, bitches. Welcome back. We're gonna continue with the anonymous confessions. As always, this is anonymous confession number 69. Okay. I have recently started going to counseling again. My mom keeps making me feel like my trauma isn't real and keeps saying I don't need counseling when I know that I do. I just feel like my new counselor is the only person I can tell about the extent of what I'm going through. For context, I'm a survivor of SA and other forms of abuse. I want to heal, especially because I don't feel like I'm totally healed from everything. And I was in another bad relationship while at college. I just feel like I'm on fight mode when it comes to everything that happened to me. I have been feeling burnt out emotionally. And I fear telling certain loved ones that I trust about anything and everything I've been through. I can understand all of that. When I went to college, even in high school, I experienced some forms of sexual assault and didn't tell anyone because I felt like I was going to be judged. I grew up in purity culture. But what I will say is telling people what you have gone through can be really healing. Um, it can be really, really helpful, but you don't have to tell them everything. If you feel comfortable with telling people what you've gone through, tell them. If you don't tell them. Sometimes we do need to keep it between us and our counselor, and that's okay. That's okay to just keep it between you and your counselor. Finding people that you trust to talk about it can be very difficult. You also need to make sure before you tell anyone these heavy things that they are willing to hear about it, number one. And you have to set that boundary of what you're expecting from them. Are you wanting them to support you? Are you wanting them to just listen? Are you wanting them to give you advice? Because it's always an energy exchange, especially when we talk about trauma. So to prevent maybe triggering someone else by talking about your sexual abuse, you have to be very mindful of how you approach the topic with other people. I'll also say that you're never going to be totally healed from everything, because as soon as you start to, feel healed from some things, you might go through another traumatic experience. That is a part of life. Trauma is a part of life. But what I will say on the plus side is once you develop coping mechanisms and these tools, adding more and more tools to your toolbox, it will become easier to cope with stress and trauma. You said you've been feeling it burnt out emotionally. Maybe that means you need to just take some time away from those emotions. Healing doesn't need to be facing the problem 24/7. And that's how I'll end that. It says that you got a message as a reply. Someone said, I had to go to counseling too, but I preferred it in person. My reason being that online counselors kept giving me tips and tricks on how to deal with crap when I really needed to just vent. So I started going to my local counselor and it helped a ton. I hope things go well with you in online counseling. Yeah. This is Anonymous Confession 71. I think I'm going to leave this server. I feel like I'm only using it for validation and attention. By the time someone reads this, I'll probably already be gone. But thanks for trying to help y'all. Thanks for being here. You know, um, anybody can feel like leaving. Like if this has helped you enough that you feel like you don't need this Discord anymore, beautiful. Thank you for being here. This is Anonymous Confession 72. My brother said that me being gone next week will make the house much more peaceful and quiet. So basically, I'm gone away from my phone for a week. I told my brother he's going to miss me, and his response was, yeah, well, the house will be much quieter, as if he isn't the reason it never was. I'm in my bedroom 90% of the time, alone like I want to be. He doesn't know that I'm suicidal and having constant thoughts of killing myself. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of fair. I'm just really hurt. There's probably been things worse that he said to me, but this stung worse than anything I've ever been told. It sounds like you were very triggered by that. Um, First and foremost, I'm very sorry. Thank you for typing this and allowing yourself to feel. Um, brothers, siblings, sisters, cousins say things to us sometimes to get a reaction. I'm sure your sibling is being a butthole. Your sibling would definitely miss you if you were permanently gone. What I would say is allow yourself to feel. And maybe when you are a bit more differentiated, when you're a little bit more calmed down, talk to him about it, but use I feel statements and not you made me feel this way statements. Don't blame him because no one else is in control of your feelings but you. You are the only person in control of your own feelings. No one can make you feel a certain way. Okay? It's going to be okay. I promise. This is Anonymous Confession 73. I think I'm falling out of love with my partner. Recently, I've been feeling so drained by them, and I feel like I have to respond to them every time they message me. I feel agitated. I don't know what it is, but I don't quite feel that spark anymore, you know? Feels like we're more friends than lovers, to be honest. I don't have the heart to tell them though, because they're quite sensitive, and I might start feeling closer to them when we see each other again, but I'm just not feeling it, you know? I feel bad for feeling this way. So. This could go one of like 5 ways, but I'm going to give you like 2 ways. Number one is that you were never in love with them in the first place. You may have been and very much like with them, which is great. You know, new relationships, you have new endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine flooding your system, and oxytocin trying to bond you with that person. Um, and all of those are not just for, love, but they're actually mostly lust. Um, it sounds like this person can feel you pulling away and is only trying to pursue you even more, which is probably causing you to be even more agitated. Or you are going through a depression right now. And because of the depression, you may not want to be around people that you feel confronted by. Now, confrontation isn't necessarily a bad thing. You can feel confronted by people that love you, that you love as well, but not want to deal with certain things. So I would recommend you reevaluating your relationship and working through it. Hmm. Ches, I'm really sorry about you're having a bad weekend a month ago. Um, I reach out to me, okay? We're gonna move on to Anonymous Confession 74. My dad tried to kill me and my older brother a couple times. He tried to run us over with his motorized scooter, basically a wheelchair thing, but we were too fast for him. I was 4 through 6 when it happened, and my brother was 8 through 10. I guess after 3 times of doing that, he gave up. I'm tired. I'm scared of leaving the door open now, even though he doesn't do it anymore. That's domestic abuse if he was actually actively trying to kill you. Um, I would report it to a counselor if you were feeling fear as an older individual now, because I'm assuming you're not a 6-year-old typing this. I'm guessing you're probably still in school and you definitely still live at home. Um, I would contact someone about this, like an authority figure. I don't know the entire situation, but you should never feel afraid of being murdered by your parent. Okay? Please contact either a school counselor or another adult that may know this situation, and try to get yourself out of there. This is Anonymous Confession 75. I'll leave this one a big quick as I have it sort of sorted out, but I usually distract myself from any negative or insecurities as I don't like feeling miserable for too long. Valid. So if I could describe my gender, I'd say that I'm a AMAB with thoughts of a trans guy because I feel a lot of things that trans guys commonly feel, such as gender envy, feeling you will never be a real boy slash man, hoping that testosterone shots will hopefully make these feelings go away, feeling envious of cis boys and men, avoiding them due to the pain that you feel that you'll never look like them, etc. I do have a few trans mask friends and I usually relate to them, but it feels weird that I'm experiencing this. At least the fun part is that we'll do our T shots together, so that's fun. Anyway, I hope these feelings will go away when I'm older. I hope so too. Definitely getting gender confirming procedures, whether they be testosterone shots, dressing as the gender that you feel that you are, dressing as the gender that you want to be, can be very helpful. Making sure that people address you by your preferred pronouns can be very helpful as well. And getting medical intervention could also be very helpful. I know a lot of us are really consumed by fear of not being treated the way that we want to be, whether that be fear of not being treated as our gender. But as you get older, my hope is that you hold less and less value in others' opinions of who you are, and more value in your own opinion of who you are. Because the only opinion that really matters is yours, how you feel in your body. Okay? I'm sending you some love, 75. I'm sending you some love. This is Anonymous Confession 76. I know this server is useful to people trying to figure out their difficult present or past situation and what they've missed out on because of neglectful, abusive parents or friends. However, I feel like revisiting these topics aren't helping me. I feel insecure about myself and I don't want to feel regretful about not making the most out of what I'm offered or looking on the bright side. Okay, yeah. It's my opinion that suffering is meaningless but inevitable. I don't agree. And you should try to look on the brighter side as much as you can, or you won't be as happy with yourself. I want to try to do that. So I'll be taking a break from the server to work on myself before I can help others. I applaud you for that, for, taking a break and working on yourself. A really good analogy that Johnny has made before with me is that you have a cup and you can't give to others unless your cup is overflowing. You know the saying, you can't pour out an empty cup. Well, you don't want to, if your cup already is only half full, you need to keep that half for yourself. You can't pour your half into someone else. You're going to have less and less for yourself. So until your cup is overflowing, that's when then you can help others. I don't agree that suffering is meaningless, but inevitable. I don't agree with that. We suffer for reasons that only we know unless we express them to other people. We have all of these feelings on this feeling wheel for a reason. We have the hurt, mad, frustrated, distant, critical, scared, anxious, insecure feelings for a reason. And they can be serving to us as individuals and in our growth, and they can also be harmful to us. It just all depends on how you choose to use those emotions. I'm going to move on to Anonymous Confession 77. This one is a big one. I know my parents are emotionally abusive, say bad stuff to do with religion, and in some ways emotionally neglectful, but I never thought that they would be physically abusive. Recently, my sister has wanted to talk about this stuff more, and she says that she remembers some other stuff that I didn't say. She says that my dad tried to hit me with a belt, a ruler, a hairbrush a lot of times, but then I ran away to my room. I did track when I was younger, and my dad's really out of shape before he could actually do it. I think that's actually assault you. She says that he tried to do it because I was a bad person going against God, but I didn't actually do anything bad. He just perceived me as a bad sinner no matter what, just for being born. He also wishes I was never born and wants me to be dead. My sister says that she remembers times like once I didn't want to go to church and my dad was in the middle of a breakdown, so he skinned my arm with a knife and called me a sinner. He has mental breakdowns and gets out of control. He was a lot worse physically when we were younger, and now it's only emotional stuff and threats. My mom was talking to my dad, and he told her to leave me in the house with the oven running and open it after an hour to stand in front. My mom is also scary, but not as scary as my dad. She's scary in different ways. I want to believe my sister. I think she's correct, but she also says stuff like she has memories and bad dreams where she is seeing me get physically punished from above. She also says things like she remembers him sexually assaulting her. But I think this stuff is real though, because I can remember being spanked once and my dad pounding on my door. And when I opened it, he had a belt and someone screamed stop after that. My memories are not like the memories, but fragments of them. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on here, but I think it's a clue to what happened. When I was 9, I looked up stuff about spanking and physical punishment on my mom's computer, leading to reading a lot of spanking content and almost relating to it, I guess. Maybe I remembered what happened in full back then. My parents are also super controlling. I don't want us to have any friends. They don't want us to have any friends. And my dad said to me and my sister that he should be our only friend because we are immoral sinners and everyone else around us is bad and corrupt us. It's fake. I am 14, so it will be a while before I can move out and afford therapy, try and piece together the story. I'm just scared of living here because even though the physical stuff doesn't happen anymore, my parents still emotionally abuse us. I'm a lesbian, but my dad thinks that's a sin and that God will hate me. First and foremost, number 77, that was a lot. You definitely are experiencing domestic abuse, and although you say that you're only 14 and you can't get out, you can. Um, I'm going to be putting some resources in our description for domestic abuse. I don't know if you actively go to school, but you need to call Child Protective Services immediately. I know it's very scary. Um, I'm assuming that you have either a phone or a computer because you're able to access this Discord server. Um, you can access them via telephone or on the web, and services are free and confidential. There's a hotline in our description. I would suggest calling CPS immediately and starting the process of getting you and your sister out of there. Um, that is severe torture and abuse, and I'm very sorry that you're dealing with that, but you do not have to. Um, you are 14 years old, and I'm glad that you recognize how wrong all of these things are. Okay. It sounds like your brain is trying to protect you from the things that you have experienced. Your mind is trying to protect you. Um, I wouldn't try to remember those things. Okay. But if you are getting flashbacks or memories of them, I would write them down so you have evidence of it. If you can record, trying to make sure you're safe, honey. Safety is always first. But if you can record anything that your father is saying in these things, they will help you to prove your case with Child Protective Services, but I would strongly recommend you getting out of that house. This is Anonymous Confession 78. It's taking every bone in my freaking body not to blow up at my parents right now. It's like they can't go a single day without arguing about something, whether it's big or small. Like, shut up, y'all. You're both highly aware your daughter has depression, so why make it worse by arguing around me? It's bad enough both sides of my family are already loudmouths. I'm really sorry you're experiencing that, baby. I'm really sorry you're experiencing that. That's horrible. This comment below it, I'm really sorry you experienced that, but I'm not gonna read out your name. This is Anonymous Confession 79. We're back at it again. Not like anyone cares anyway, but I recently fell out of love with my partner and I don't know what to do. They message me every day, which is starting to piss me off. They're starting to bore me, and trigger warning, I don't feel sexually turned on when they sex me while they admit to being turned on. I don't know what to do, honestly. I'm seeing them soon, so maybe the spark will reignite, but I'm starting to doubt it. I don't want to break their heart because they're already going through a tough time, and I don't want to add to that. I'm considering just staying in the relationship and sucking it up because everyone will be upset, and their friends have jokingly said that they would harm me, but it feels pressuring if we part ways. We also have different intentions for our lives. They are considering having children at a later age when I want to have near my mid-20s. I feel trapped, upset, demotivated. And then someone responded to you saying, absolutely nothing is worth being unhappy for. We get one life to live, so make it count by doing what you need in order to be happy. I have to agree with that. Leave. Leave the relationship, honey. It really doesn't sound healthy for you, and you do have to put yourself first. You really do have to put yourself first. If you do not feel, you are only really hurting them further by staying in the relationship if you are not in love with them or if you don't desire them anymore. You're only further hurting them, hurting yourself. There's no point to be in that relationship anymore. So I would strongly recommend leaving. Thank you to everybody who submitted an anonymous confession. This was a long episode. This was a long episode. I'm very grateful to everybody. Again, we're going to be having lots of suicide resources in the description, domestic abuse resources in the description. I think a lot of you guys found me from Catlin, one of my best friends. I really, really appreciate you guys all sharing your stories and telling us what you're going through. I am truly sorry for all the trauma that we're experiencing, but you are not alone. You don't have to go through any of this alone. If you feel compelled to, please stay on the Discord, share in the meme channel. I'm going to try and get a Minecraft server back up and running again. We used to have a Minecraft server. I want to try and get one back up and running again. Please stay safe, guys. Remember, you are capable of a fulfilling life in spite of your circumstances and your trauma. May you rise again from the ashes and be filled with peace, hope, love, joy, and understanding. Let's roll credits on this episode. I'll see you in the next one. Happy October. Goodbye.
If you're watching us over on YouTube, here are our memes of the week, carefully curated by those amazing people, over on our Discord server. Now let's get into those memes. At the end of every episode, we spin our wheel of emotions to learn a new feeling and how it correlates to trauma. Let's spin this wheel, shall we? Ooh. Distant, withdrawn, suspicious. I had a comment on the Discord that really struck me, and I think I know why. When we're going through pretty significant trauma, especially betrayal trauma, when somebody has desperately hurt our feelings or things that we thought about the world turn out to be wrong, we can feel a sense of betrayal, and that can make us withdraw from society, withdraw from our relationships, and withdraw from people that are actually there to help us. So I'm not calling anybody out specifically, but I remember posting something on the Discord server that I was really proud of everybody who was on there, which we have over 300 members. I was really proud of them for being on the Discord and sharing what they're going through and wanting to get better. And that I loved them, which I do. I genuinely do love, love people in general. And this person, who will be unnamed, said that they doubted it. They doubted that anyone could actually love when they say that they love everybody. They don't believe that, which I comprehend. I comprehend that they may feel that way, or they think that unconditional love is not real. I don't agree, and here's why. I do believe that unconditional love is real because I have dogs. Okay? I have dogs that love me no matter what I do for them. Even though I do take care of them, they're going to love me in spite of myself. When I get angry at them, when I'm frustrated with them, they're always going to love me. Okay? And sometimes we don't have a clear example of what unconditional love is. Look at animals. Okay? Even dogs that have been greatly betrayed want to love, want to feel connection. And we're all animals anyway. We want to love, we want to feel connection. So whenever you're feeling distant or you're trying to withdraw, I want to challenge you to reach out to people that you know are safe. Okay, number one, maybe people on the Discord. Reach out and try to find a community. That is something that I've been really focused on this past couple months. It's September now. It's the end of September, I guess. That's what I've been really focused on, is making friends and being intentional with my friendships, putting in as much effort as I wish to receive. Okay? Making sure that I'm pursuing these people and trying to know them, understand them, and grow alongside them. I want to challenge you guys to try and find your tribe. When we're on our healing journey, it's so much easier when we have other people to vent to, other people to connect with, and other people to grow alongside. Okay? I'm so proud of you for getting this far in the episode. Thank you so much. If you'd like to support our podcast, we have a Patreon. Different tiers can get you a bracelet. That's a handmade bracelet made by me, Grace. Or you can get a sticker like the one on the back of my computer. Those links are in the description. Any support helps us out a lot. So if you feel compelled to, please like, comment, subscribe, and share the show with your friends. All right. I love you so much. I genuinely do. Okay. I'm not just saying it to blow smoke up your ass. I'm really appreciative that you are here. Okay. Special thanks goes out to all of our Discord servers, little users. Hello, guys. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Remember, you are capable of a fulfilling life in spite of your circumstances and your trauma. May you rise again from the ashes and be filled with peace, hope, love, joy, and understanding. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Stay safe.